So hello, Tim. How are you doing?
Hello, Richard. This is Timmy, and we're just having an experiment here, trying the Zoom H4n Pro, and we are trying it with the double microphone set on mono to record a conversation between us. It's set about 18 inches away, and I'm just going to ask Richard about what he's just bought and his deliberations.
Yeah.
So, Richard, what have you bought today?
I have just bought a Sony A7IV body. Only the body, because I already have all the lenses.
Yeah. And you were the victim of a scam. You saw a fantastic bargain, didn't you?
I did, yes.
A few weeks ago.
Yes, it was never going to be true.
And we were kind of even sceptical from the start, weren't we?
Yes. But it might have been true. That's probably,
yeah. So,
you never know.
But it was like £700 for an A7IV.
Yes.
And
it was never going to be so.
Anyway, the idea was that you would turn up and pay in cash, but then suddenly you got this cock and bull story, didn't you?
Yeah, they wanted the money
in
advance, and that was clearly...
The son's got his cancer treatment, and it's a bit inconvenient. Can you just pay us the money? And can you pay us 50 pence to 50%?
Yeah. And they would post it, and that clearly wasn't going to happen. So I backed out. Yeah.
But it got you thinking about the A7IV and the fact that you've owned your A7III nearly 5 years.
Yeah, it did. I sort of resisted the A7IV because I was a little disappointed in what they'd upgraded. I didn't think they'd gone quite far enough between the Mark III and Mark IV. And then they brought out other cameras with even more advanced focusing, and I thought soon there'll be an A7 Mark V, and that will have everything in.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit surprised that's never happened.
It was a long time coming, and it hasn't come yet.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to come. Rumour has it that when it does come, it'll be considerably upgraded and a lot more expensive, and probably have stuff in it that I don't want.
No.
And suddenly don't need. So we'll see how we get on with the A7IV.
Yeah, so I'm a Nikon guy, and I've had a Z6 Mark I, and been a little disappointed and returned it. It wasn't bad. But yeah, Richard's do with his A7IV considerations made me watch a few videos, and my conclusion is that the A7IV is a camera I'd probably quite like if I wasn't already a Nikon guy. I mean, because I'm a Nikon guy, I'm likely to...
Well, we'll just have to see if we can convert you, won't we?
Well, I'm quite likely to have a ZF, because if you consider... I mean, the last time I bought a brand new camera was in about the mid or late 1980s, and that would have been a Nikon FM2 or something like that. And then I decided I didn't like the manual one with the 3 traffic lights, and swapped to the FE with the swinging needle. But so I'm not a new camera guy, so I buy used. And as Richard pointed out to me earlier, you're looking at £1,500-1,600 for a used A7IV.
A7IV, yeah, that's the... I have nothing against buying used cameras, and have bought used cameras in other areas, but the A7IV is currently 2,149 on an offer, and then there's £400 off that, which is what made the difference for me today. Towards your trade-in value.
You did a trade-in, and then you had money from selling another camera that you
and I
inherited.
sold another camera which I'd inherited, and I bless another couple of brothers, my friends I grew up with, Paul and Justin, and one of the cameras I acquired after they'd both gone, to my surprise, turned out to be a Leica. Paul was a great Nikon man, and in later life German exactor before that. He was a fantastic photographer. I think he must have thought the Leica was, the German thing to buy because he said he wasn't a Japanese fan.
Was it the R6?
It was an R6, yeah, but it was absolutely immaculate. Whereas his Nikon was really well worn, scratched and battered and dented. So I think I think he tried the Leica and didn't like it. Hence why it was stuck, in a cupboard in like new condition.
You didn't like it much, did you?
I didn't like it. I did a test film on it, and nothing wrong with it. I just found it boring. It's isn't got that great a viewfinder, and
was it the video
focus? No. The film camera. The focusing it was a nightmare. I was sort of surprised how clear the results were, but I think that's just because if I got anywhere vaguely near, and I was doing a test film on a sunny day, so my apertures were properly in the mid-range, so I had enough depth of field, so things came out okay. But it just particularly focusing, you just couldn't see what you're doing with it had diopter adjustment and things, but there wasn't enough contrast in the microprism in there. Of course,
the price of film and processing these days also, I think, make it not very attractive to be shooting film unless you're particularly keen.
There are a few companies coming out with sort of cheaper film. I was reading that in Thailand and other places in the Far East, you can get a film process and scan for about £2. So we just accept a much higher price here. That's related to local wages and so on, but somebody was working out if they had 35 films to be processed, it was cheaper to fly to Thailand, to Thailand, and have them done. And they came out to a very high standard, very high quality scans, than to have them done in the UK. So
if you were kind of like having a lot of films done, you could fly over there, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Give them to lab. They take 2 or 3 days to process it, which you spend with a ladyboy, and which is what you do when you go to Thailand.
Speak for yourself.
Anyway, returning to the A7IV, and then we'll wrap up. For me, as a Nikon DSLR user at the moment, who didn't rate the Z6, I think the ZF will be good, but we're talking about the same price, aren't we? We're going to be very soon talking about the same price for a used A7 IV and a Nikon ZF used.
Yeah,
I think I saw one for about $15.99.
Yeah,
in the LCE in Chichester recently. So they are coming down, but the highest I've ever paid...
It'll be a while before they sort of get under 1,000, I think.
The highest I've ever paid for a camera body was $12.50 for a refurbished D4S. And shortly after, I sort of decided, well, $12.50 is a lot of money to be in one camera body, so I then sold it on. Which, to be fair, I got a good deal, so I broke even. So that was good. Anyway, more thoughts or before we wrap up?
Just say a quick thought that I've been sort of thinking about. You have the Nikon Z6, which we know didn't have the most advanced focusing system. However, you do hear a lot of people who absolutely love them, and it has a similar sensor in it to the Sony A7III I've just traded in. But Nikon processing and Nikon color and things. I guess if you're taking different things, you tend to take portraits, a lot of headshots and so on. And
it tends to be Electron Studio headshots.
It's absolutely critical to you whether the nearest eye is absolutely pin sharp. And sometimes the Z6 didn't quite hit it exactly. But somebody taking people further away, or landscapes or street scenes or something, probably would never notice that because they'd never need that absolutely hair's breadth focus.
To be fair, I bought the Z6 knowing that the automatic eye-finding focus was going to be dodgy. I had the version 3. Was it 3.5, Chris?
Firmware.
Chris is in the distance and not in the range of the microphone. Say hello, Chris, see if we can hear you.
Hello!
and then just stand beside me and see if we can hear you.
Well, you will if I'm sitting in your.
Well, you're a little bit further out of the range.
Mm.
Anyway, so the Z6, I found it was basically all right in the studio with flash, but the output
Probably again because you were often shooting at f5, 6, f8.
Yeah.
You had enough depth of field, even if it was a fraction out
Yeah.
on the iris focus. Yeah, it would have covered it.
I didn't. I just didn't feel that the raw files out of it looked any better than those out of the DSLR. And if anything, I mean, my DSLRs are older, sort of D3X, D3S. Chris has got the D810. We were using that a bit as well. So yeah, I didn't feel the raw files out of the Z6 looked any nicer, but it's very good at high ISO stuff.
Yeah, I always thought that I accepted that it was disappointing the iFocus, and I used your Z6, and I thought this is what's all the fuss about. There's a little square on the eye, it was crystal clear, bang on, and then the actual result would be disappointing, and that is true. And you know, you hear of people talking about the Z6 too, but short of buying one and trying it, we don't know how good it's going to be.
You hear a lot of people that say it's not really much of an improvement.
Yeah, and there are, that's a fundamental thing, and for me as well. I want the iFocus to work. I just, on the A7III I've just traded, and I've just done 2 photo shoots, total of 1,200 pictures, and I found one where it missed the eye so far. Now, I haven't studied every single one, but of the ones I've edited so far, there's one where it's just a fraction out.
So what really tipped me over to wanting to dump the Z6 was that we went to dinner with a mate of yours, me, Chris and Richard. We went round to another one of Richard's friends who's a photographer, and I took some pictures of it. He's got a kind of collection of kind of model buses and things. He's a bus driver and racing cars and stuff.
It was quite low light.
Yeah, and it was quite low light in there.
Yeah.
But I was using, as I always did, the single point which I was just putting on the eye, and when I got home, I found a lot of them weren't sharp, and I thought, that's shit. I was expecting the iFocus finding not to work, but to have the single point not work when the light was low but not that low, and I just thought that's really poor. So I just sold it, and I bought a D610 to replace it as a smaller.
Which seems to work very well.
Yeah. Well, apart from when it didn't.
Apart from when it broke.
But that's another story.
Yeah, but that's. Do
you think we should wrap it up here?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.